go in. We've lived here in this site since 1992, but because of the earthquakes, we were forced to look at either completely rebuilding our old house or building a new house. We took the opportunity to look at building a new house, and we went to Miles Construction because we had some plans, some concept plans that we wanted to have fleshed out, and Miles Construction had a group of people in their organisation that were able to do that for us to bring our concept into buildable and consentable plans. So that's why we went to Miles Construction. Look, to be honest, we came to Miles pretty much sorted. We knew what we wanted. We'd done a lot of work after we had a long time to think about it. So Miles solved the problem of getting resource consent, getting the building consent. So they didn't actually add any additional value to what we would have expected, but they certainly made that process easy enough for us without creating any other problems that you might get with a builder who doesn't have the same experience that Miles Construction obviously has. We looked at several companies. We went originally to another company, but they had decided to get out of the business completely. And we looked at companies who could provide the service of taking our concept to that next level, instead of paying for an architect to actually manage the process, do the drawings, because we had the concept already and we knew what we wanted and how it would look. We didn't need an architect to do that for us. What we wanted was, if you like, design technicians to bring that up to the standard that was required to take it to building consent level. And Miles had that ability. Amongst the groups that we saw, there were very few building companies that sort of offered that as a cohesive part of their business. And because Miles had that, and with respect to what they'd already done from what we saw on the web, we decided to go with them. They had built some new houses, some modern conceptual houses similar to this, with the high 2.7 metre stud. Some of them were out of Christchurch, but primarily it was just looking at what they'd done, the projects that they had done, and the fact that they offered that sort of that design technician service, and then sitting down and talking to them, obviously we decided that, and we wanted to move the process along pretty quickly as well. We didn't want to muck around anymore. Probably two factors. One was the people. People in their organisation are exceedingly helpful and friendly. They take, they make out that they take your project personally as well, which is great. And secondly, the subcontractors that they had employed to build the house were very, very amenable to what we wanted to do. We were living around the corner, so every day I would come and have a look to see what was being done, to make sure it was being done properly. Call me a perfectionist, and there was no problem with me coming on. I'd sign in, and I'd go through, and if there was any issues, I'd raise them, and they would be fixed. So, and that's what you can expect. was resolved, but that's what we would have expected to have happen anyway. So I don't think they went out of their way to be more than what they promised, but they certainly didn't promise anything that they didn't keep.
No.
Which is, the old saying, marketing is you never make promises you can't keep. And so they never made a promise that they didn't keep. They didn't say things that didn't happen. And I guess if you call that exceeding people's expectations, then they probably did exceed my expectation in that respect, because they didn't say, hey, we're going to do this, and then it never got done. Well, I guess the main things that I would say to recommend to Miles are the things we just talked about. The fact that the people are exceptionally attuned to what you're looking for. If you tell them something, they pick it up pretty quickly. The contractors they use aren't useless. They hold them to a reasonably high standard as well, as they should. They offer, I don't know whether they still do, but they certainly did at that stage, offered that design capacity, that if you come to them with a concept, even if you've drawn something up yourself, they are able to flesh that out for you and go through that process rather than spending a lot of money on an architect. We were fortunate because we did have an architect who did the concept for us, and we spent 2 years going through that process with that person. So those are the things that Miles brings to the table that make them, I won't say that they're exceptional in what they do, but they certainly exceed in terms of when everything's delivered, you end up with something that is what you expected it to be. What we live in today is exactly what I pictured in my mind it would turn out like. So if that's a great thing, then Miles are doing great things. Probably the fact that we are able to open up the back, because we envisaged that opening up completely on a hot day. And Sunday was a very hot day. We had the house was 31 degrees in here, and that was with everything open. And to be able to open that up onto the deck, once we've finished landscaping, it'll look really good. So that's probably, and the fact we have an upstairs living room with the high entry area, that's quite a feature of the house as well. So yeah, and it's everybody says it's a large house, and I don't see it, but when I walk up my stairwell and I go, you walk through a lot of houses and the stairway is only a metre wide. Well, we deliberately made our hallways a lot wider than people would expect, because they do form a feature with a 2.7 metre stud. You don't want a narrow corridor, and of course we've got the sort of the cathedral windows along the hallway, which keeps the light on it. And so there are a few things that I quite like. There are a few things I would do differently, but you only get to make those decisions once you've moved in and lived in it for a while and gone, damn, I should have done that differently.